Hi, this is Mark Newman, the founder of Precision Analytical. I want to introduce to you our Dutch test and let you know if it might be a good option for you. So it's a dried urine test for comprehensive hormones. So what we're having patients do is instead of getting a blood draw or instead of filling tubes up with saliva or collecting a urine jug, these collection devices have a filter paper portion of them you can see as I'm marking here. And you simply have to saturate that with urine. So you do that at dinner time. You'll have another one to do at bedtime. If you wake up in the middle of the night, there'll be an extra one for that. And then right when you wake up for the day, one more, and then 2 hours after that. So either 4 or 5 of these collection devices will be saturated with urine. It'll sit out just like this to dry, and then 24 hours later they'll be dry. You send them back to the lab and you're done. It's that simple. The reason that we do our testing this way is it allows us a uniquely comprehensive look at your hormones. We can look at your cortisol pattern. Your cortisol is supposed to go up in the early part of the day and then drop down throughout the rest of the day. And if it doesn't, that signals that there may be some sort of problem with your cortisol production, which may lead to things like fatigue. If cortisol is too high, it may lead to things like depression and other symptoms. So we want to look at that, and it's really important. We also want to look at the metabolites of cortisol. We want to look at melatonin to see if you're making enough of your sort of sleep hormone while you're sleeping. We're going to look at your basic hormones, testosterone, estrogen, DHEA, as well as some of the metabolites of these compounds, because they give unique insight into what's going on with your hormones. And when we juxtapose that, when we put that beside these other options of hormone tests, what we can see is they just simply don't have that much information. A 24-hour urine test is a nice test, but it doesn't give you that cortisol pattern, and it's not an easy patient collection. Saliva testing is great for looking at the pattern of cortisol, but you're missing all the metabolites of these hormones, which again give your provider unique insight into what's going on with your hormones. So the Dutch model of testing is uniquely easy to do, but it's also, and this is the most important part, it's also uniquely comprehensive. Now, if you're female, what we're going to do is we're going to test you throughout your menstrual cycle. This is an example of a patient's estrogen and progesterone. So you can see that the levels go up and back down for estrogen, and then the progesterone levels, if everything's working right, they're going to go up and down too. So what we would do is we would typically have you test at about day 20, somewhere around there. However, if you don't know when you cycle, so say you've had an ablation, which means you're not having a menstrual bleed, or you've had a partial hysterectomy where your ovaries are still making hormones, but you don't have that menstrual cycle to cue you when your cycle's starting and stopping, or if you just have a wacky, irregular cycle, what we want to do is we want to test more than once. So the Dutch Complete offers one test with all that information. If you need even more than that, as a premenopausal woman, this is only for premenopausal women and those that are not on birth control. In that case, the best option, the Dutch Complete is great, but you can get even more information by getting this type of information on the Dutch cycle mapping option, which will cost a little bit more money, but it's a lot more information from your healthcare provider. So if you're having issues with your menstrual cycle, if you're looking at fertility issues, that's what that test is really built for. For every other situation, the Dutch Complete is really the best test for looking at your reproductive or your sex hormones, estrogens, more your male-geared hormones like testosterone, which is important not just for men but also for women, as well as those really important adrenal hormones like cortisol. So if you're interested in the test, I'd encourage you to call if you have any questions, or email us at info@dutchtest.com. Do keep in mind the test is not available to patients in New York, Maryland, Rhode Island, and New Jersey, but it's available everywhere else in the United States as well as internationally. And again, if you have questions, please contact the lab. But we think you'll find that as you're working with a healthcare provider on your hormone-related issues, this test is going to give your provider the most information to get to the bottom of your hormonally related problems. And we look forward to working with you.